Believe me, nothing make a man feel better than a woman. Queen with a crown that be down for whatever. There are few things that's forever, my lady. We can make war or make babies. Back when I was nothing, you made a brother feel like he was something. That's why I'm with you to this day, boo. No frontin'. Classics. What's going on, y'all? Hello. Hello, America. Hello, world. Hello, you. It is your new best friend, Cashmere, California, and this is the Pod is Good podcast. Pod is good, and all the time. If you know, you know. If you don't, you'll learn. Continue to listen. Welcome. This is episode 28. Episode 28, and I guarantee you we have an incredible show, a dynamic show, a very interesting show lined up for you today. And I know that because the legacy that my guest has already left in his life, the multiple hats that he's put on during his time on this planet is nothing more than award winning. I mean, this guy's went from the military to Broadway. I mean, and I'm pretty sure a lot of points in between that are going to make this story incredibly, incredibly interesting. So please sit back, relax, get ready to enjoy another show because it begins right about now. My man,
Hey, what's up, Jay?
Ivan Thompson. How you doing, my guy?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yo, I'm so happy to see you. Happy to have you on. It's been so long since we got a chance to rap and catch up. And so to see you here, it's my honor.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's
Thanks
my
for having me.
honor.
It's good to see you.
Absolutely. What you been into lately?
Wow. So I just got back from a musical in West Virginia called Next to Normal. It's about mental health.
Hmm.
Oh, that's that. I shouldn't say that. I just got back. That was like 3 weeks ago. I just got back last weekend. I was the featured soloist at the Tuskegee Airmen National Convention. So I got to sing
What?
to a bunch of widows. Some lady, my angel, I call her my angel. She was listening. She was just scrolling YouTube and she saw a tribute song that I had posted for the Tuskegee Airmen that I wrote back in 2010. But she's just scrolling and she came across. She goes, "Who's singing this song?" She was all broken up. She goes, "Somehow they tracked me down." What they didn't know is I've been trying to sing that song at the Tuskegee Airmen Convention for over a decade. So she gets me in, and then she finds my love song. She finds like one of the love songs I published last year, and I'm like, how did these two together? This song
Right, right.
and this contemporary love song, but she wanted me to sing the love song. The widows have a thing that they do where they share how they met their husbands.
Hmm.
And it's so cool, man, because most of these Tuskegee Airmen dudes, man, they married honeys like 25, 30 years, 20 years younger.
That's a fact.
So, because most of them, there's one that was there. He was like 96. His wife, I don't know how many years younger she was, but so they had me sing the love songs to the widows, and then the next day I sang the tribute song and the national anthem, and then they featured my books. You
Wow.
know, I got to meet two Black four-star generals who I'd met earlier in my career. One of them did a forward in one of my books, and saw some old college friends, man. So it was like a whirlwind weekend this past weekend. So I
That
sang, signed books, sang original music, signed books. It was a good weekend. Then came back and got back in audition mode. I had like several auditions right away. That's kind of my normal week. I'm auditioning, even though in California everything's shut down because there are different unions, SAG,
yeah.
and then AEA, Actors Equity, is the musical theater union. So I'm not affected
Hmm.
by that.
That's
So I'm
good.
still auditioning every week for different stuff.
I
You know.
I want to dig more into this Tuskegee Airmen because it sounds like you, in so many words, like created this opportunity. Like you didn't necessarily
Yes.
know you were creating it, but you somehow did.
Right, because I've been asking to come and sing at the convention and to give them this song. I was hoping they would take the song and
Wow.
make it the Tuskegee Airmen theme song. And eventually that's what they did. We had a little speech and a letter where I transferred the rights to the song so they can use it, in any way that they want to use it, profit or nonprofit wise. As long as
Wow.
I still can sing it whenever I want to. But if y'all want to have, Jennifer Hudson come behind it and sing, whatever. But if it
All good.
becomes
All
the
good.
Tuskegee Airmen theme song, that would be great. But yeah, I wrote it, man. And when I was in LA I was in LA from '04 to 2010. At that time, they had so many original Tuskegee Airmen still living, and I met some of the great ones there in LA. And before I left and moved away, I wrote them a tribute song and sang it to them. And you had, 90-year-old men weeping and stuff, man. It was like, wow. And then I was like, well, let me give this to the national chapter, but it just never worked out. People sometimes think you have motives or, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'll give it to you, we don't want it. Okay, whatever. And this lady hears it. She moves heaven and earth to get me down there, put me up in a hotel, give me the VIP, and then to sing to these women, man, and the other love song, and then I surprised them with another song, First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. And
Mm,
they were weeping, hugging on me and everything, man. It was just, the Bible talks about ministering to widows. I'm thinking, man,
yeah, that was
some of
it.
these some of these women, one woman said she had been with her husband for 63 years, one 55 years,
Wow.
and just to be able to do that,
Wow.
man, it was amazing.
Wow. I would assume that's a pretty big moment in your career as a whole.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
to,
I've sung for bigger audiences, but that was special because
yeah,
of who they were and who their husbands were,
it's more
and because
personal.
yeah, and because I've been trying to do it since I wrote the song in 2010, I'm like,
Right.
I've been trying to, give it away. I was like, man, that's because and it taught me like one of my since we've gone to Spotify and iTunes, you don't make that much on the plays of your song.
Mm,
And I'd asked my mentors, I was like, why y'all keep recording music? Because you ain't making enough money on these plays to get back what you put in studio time. They go, you never
yeah.
know what happened with the song. Sure enough, the love song I recorded last year, that's the one that they wanted me to sing
Mm,
T. And I'm like, because I talked to my stepmother. I'm like, these women got to be in their 80s to go. And my stepmother's like 75. She goes, well, they may be old, but they ain't dead. And sure enough, these women was feisty, man, talking about their 89-year-old husbands, 100-year-old husbands using Viagra, and
wow. That was on. So you was like, whoa, 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 whoa,
I know they got
whoa.
to know me a little bit too well, man. But it was real. They were
Yeah,
so. She said she married her husband. She was one of them said she married her husband 89. That's this nice, quiet, kind
yeah,
of because he was so much older.
yeah.
The doctor with him goes, "You can come in if you want to." He said, "I'm here to get Viagra." She's like, "What?"
Oh,
Oh
oh,
man.
hey, you got
Yeah,
it. Hey, like you said, it ain't dead.
right.
So, however we
I'm
can get
looking
the
forward to
artillery
it. Hey,
firing,
I'm looking forward to it. Hey,
however we can get the artillery firing.
that's
Now,
right.
now, would
Right.
you say, like you said, you've had bigger audiences, but this one was very personal because, like you said, it was something that you felt near dear to your heart. You were trying to give this
Yeah.
music away, which is huge of you.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say was your biggest moment in your career? I know you've had a lot of them, but if you had to identify one and say, man, but out of everything that happened, this moment, wow.
The performing career. Wow, 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 wow. I think the second time I sang for the Lakers, that's probably
Mm.
in terms of like big ticket, thing.
And so,
That
what
was
was it about that?
um
And even what was it about the second time? Because you're not saying the first time you sung for
right.
the
The
Lakers.
first time I sang for the Lakers, it didn't go as well,
Mm.
and part of it is because like when you sing on TV, you only get 90 seconds. You can't do the whole Luther, Patti LaBelle version in 90 seconds,
Right.
So
Come on, get through it.
yeah, so the second one I was better prepared. I made my own arrangement, hand plucked out on the keyboard, kind of what I want to do.
Mm.
Because most people like Faith Evans, Whitney Houston, Beyonce, they have a custom made arrangement for the national anthem. Like if you watched, I'm trying to think what her name was. She sang in the Dreamgirls in the original.
Jennifer Hudson.
No, no, no. In the original Broadway
Oh,
production, Shirley Ralph.
Shirley. Yeah.
Shirley Ralph just sang the national anthem not too long ago. I forgot for what, but that was a custom arrangement, almost like a custom tailored suit. Or
Wow.
and so I made my own custom arrangement for it, and then I got to see when he's gone. Kobe. I have the video footage of Kobe being on the court. So
Mm.
and it was my first big thing that kind of opened up everything else. Because then when you go sing something else. I sang for the Lakers. Oh, so then I ended up singing for
Right,
Kings,
right.
Sparks, the Rams, NASCAR, because you have that on your resume. Oh, you sang for the Lakers. Oh,
Right, right.
you can skip some audition hurdles.
That's true. That's a big
So, yeah,
a
that
big
was
mark.
yeah, because I sang for the Dodgers. That was cool, a couple times, and the field is big. But that first time, really, for the Lakers, it got a lot of mileage, and yeah, I would say that's probably one of my biggest ones.
And so tell me about this custom arrangement. Like you don't got to go too far, but what does that mean? Because for most of us, when we hear it, yeah, we can kind of tell it sounds a little different, but we don't realize that the arrangement is changing or someone's doing something custom. So how do you even approach that?
So one of the ways I approached it was I made like a list of my top anthem performances,
Hmm.
and I tried to figure out what made it special to me, and some of it was the endings, So like the land of the and the home of the brave.
Ah,
So I'll play around with, the endings, and I come up with something that to me, I can't do Whitney or Mariah.
hold on. Your mic kind of
I blew up the mic. I forgot when you sing loud.
yeah. It was like
Yeah, so if you do on the home of the brave. So I played around with different endings, to come up with something that was cool for me. But even going through, some people like if you just play it the way it's written, oh say can
yeah.
you might move on free, or you might move on way. You've seen so many different people like Shirley Ralph or whatever. And in the military setting, sometimes they don't like all that. Like I was at a base where they were like, where the general told the guy, we don't want the Luther version. We want you to be more.
Yeah.
He got offended, and he said he won't sing no more. So all that fell to me. I'm like, okay, on this base, I'm gonna be the new singer of all ceremonies, big and small, because this dude didn't want to. You kind of know your audience for the Tuskegee
Yeah.
Airmen. I was like, okay, this is pretty much all black crowd. I can take some liberties,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
They want that.
put more feeling into it versus.
Yeah.
But because I've been in the military so long, I wanted it to come out a certain way. But when those flags marched in, because I was in uniform 28 years, I still kind of
Still got
fell
you.
into a
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
kind of thing. But but yeah. So when I
So
say your arrangement, now those folks are going to sit down with a keyboard player and and instrumentation. They're going to chart their performance. Me, I just plucked, and then played with it, or just memorized something that I like, and practiced.
so second time with the Lakers, biggest moment. At least one that jumps out to you in
Right,
this moment to say like, wow, that meant a lot. And then like you said, it led to a lot.
right.
So that led to a lot, but what led up to it? What got you to the Lakers? Did you do other shows that then the Lakers saw and were like, hey?
I I almost. This would have been the biggest. When I was living in DC, I got picked to sing for the Dallas Cowboy Redskin game. And I'm a huge Cowboys Cowboys
Thank
fan.
you. Thank you.
And they asked me, I sent in like a recording studio. Went to the studio, made an investment to record the anthem, and I sent it to the Redskins, and they said, we liked you. How would you like to sing for the Cowboy game? I went, yes, that'd be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, because I want to let on I'm a huge Cowboy fan. Let's sing
Right.
for the Redskins. Like yell at your pillow. You know,
Exactly.
um, but
Exactly.
what happened was leading up to it, it changed into Daryl Green Day. Daryl Green was a famous Redskin athlete, one of the
Mm.
world's fastest men or whatever. And he was a Hall of Fame Redskin player. He said that's the day's gonna be Daryl Green Day, and they said he gets to pick everything on that day, so you might get bumped.
Wow.
And they said he's looking for a Christian artist. I'm like, I'm a Christian artist.
Whoa! Don't skip me.
So the day before the day before, man, they said he found the artist. The artist said his
Oh,
house. Your tickets are still good, but you're not singing. And I was so mad, man. I was like, man. But that experience and knowing where to go,
mhm.
who when you say you want to sing anthem, who does that for a team? I found out it's
Right,
the
right.
marketing office, and I know where to do it. So that experience, when I got to LA, I was like, I know where to go. I need to go to the marketing department and get somebody to hear it. And that's how the first Lakers one happened. The second one happened because it was military appreciation week at Los Angeles Air Force Base, and they wanted a military anthem singer for the Lakers game, and I think the hockey game, the Kings game. Yes and yes, you know.
Absolutely.
And then UCLA used me for everything. I sang track and field, volleyball, basketball. They let baseball. I sang everything in UCLA.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
nice. Okay,
yeah,
so hold on. Let's be honest. Now, when you're in the stands, because I know you still went to the game because
yeah,
they say your tickets are still good.
yeah.
So you're at the game.
Right.
The crucial moment happens when the person that took your spot grabs the mic. What are you thinking? Are you critiquing them?
Of course,
Did
I'm
they do a
critiquing him.
good
It's
job?
he's better than me. I'm bitter. I'm bitter. I am not. I would like to say I was the better man, but I was like, man, this guy, he's a professional recording artist. Yeah,
Mm,
I had the sour grape face,
yeah,
But I could see
yeah.
later. I look back on it later. I was like, Lord, why did you allow all of this to happen in LA and not in
Mm,
DC? And I really believe what he told me was that if you had had that opportunity in DC, you would have never left DC. Because
mm.
shortly after, I had a vision. We were at a men's retreat in DC, and God gave me a vision of entertainment. And I was like, the movie Danny Glover said, I'm too old for this. I thought I was too old for entertainment in 2004.
Ah,
And I asked a buddy of mine, I said, man, I had this vision about, entertainment. He goes, man, I'm not, I can't say it's God, but you should move to LA. I was like, that's one of the places I said I would never move. And it was like, God's got a sense of humor because the two places I said I would never live are DC and LA. I was already in one of them in DC,
yeah.
and went to LA, and everything started opening up, not only for
Mm.
me, but then one by one, my children started moving to LA. One went to the LA School of Hollywood School of Makeup and Television.
Mm.
My son went to Paul Mitchell for hair, and then my third child went to FITM Fashion Institute,
Oh,
and
downtown.
all of them blew up. My son was one of the lead makeup artists for hairstylist for the last Avatar movie for the lead characters. I mean, these guys moved to LA and they started blowing up. I said, man, if I had never been obedient to go, they wouldn't have had a landing point because they could have made it, but all of them moved in with me for a little while, found their feet. LA first, you got to find a place to live and,
Got
and
to.
afford to find, your dream. All these people come to their dream, but you got to find a place to live.
Right.
Gotta,
Right.
and eat, live
Yeah.
and eat. Some live first, maybe eat. Same thing in New York.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so yeah, I look back on that decision. Okay, yeah, and when my oldest daughter is still there, my son commutes back and forth. His clients wait for him. He lives in Tucson now, and so he goes back and forth to LA, does his high profile clients, and then my daughter became a celebrity nanny. She's making six figures, 1 week on, 1 week off for people like the nanny of the Fast and Furious. Like you can imagine that lady.
Mm,
That lady's all over the world on location.
right.
Found
Right.
out that rich people don't watch their kids on vacation. My daughter was going everywhere with them. She taking pictures in front of the Louvre, Stonehenge. She met Bezos. Hey, you want to meet
Wow.
Bezos while we're here?
Wow.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
I look back on that decision to go west as the right thing, and then it kind of gave my next three a jumping off point. And then they still say, Dad, we see you out there doing your thing, chasing your dreams. It encourages us. I'm like, really? One of my daughters says that.
Always.
My middle two always say that, and they're 32 and 34.
Mm.
So
Yeah. That's incredible, man. That's incredible. And for what it's worth, we wouldn't be here because that's where I met you too. So in this very moment, this wouldn't be happening had you not listened to God and bring your tail on to LA.
that's right, because I did not want to come. I was like, LA. Ugh.
And so but you had dreams of and aspirations of being a performer.
Right, but I actually thought I was too old, and I had started putting my kids My oldest daughter used to call me Joe Jackson. You know, like Cosby Show, hey, make all the kids, sing and perform. I used to do that. Y'all gonna sing for the old folks. And one time my son didn't want to do the choreography, took off that belt, went upstairs, had attitude adjustment. And then later I saw the movie. I was like, no. I said, Lord, I apologize to my son. I would
He was
never
like, I'm
do
sorry.
that again. Because it's like, what do you mean you don't want to dance with the old folks? Oh, hell no.
He said the Cosby. That's like, I said, baby.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
All
yes.
my kids, man, it was not optional. You had to stand up there and perform. And then when I moved to LA, I made the younger three audition for my agent. What you got? Let's see.
I should
And
say.
I shouldn't say like I'm trying to push them on entertainment. Like you try to watch your kids' gifts, and you try to.
Yeah.
There's a scripture. One of my favorite scriptures for kids is about Manoah. Manoah's out in the field. Angel comes to Samson's mom and says he's gonna be a Nazarite. Don't cut his hair. Blah 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 blah. Manoah comes back, and the mom says, blah, 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 angel came. And he prayed. He said, I want the angel to come back. When the angel comes back, he goes, tell me how to raise my son. And so my prayer always as a dad was, Lord, show me how to raise my kid, to maximize their gifts and kind of put them in the lane you want them to be in. Not necessarily because I was entertainment. My last two kids aren't in entertainment. But kid 4, she was always the star of the school play when she was little. I see the bent in it, so it would be wrong for me not to at least try to put her in.
Of course.
She was always... I felt like it was so bad that I went to the kindergarten teacher one time and said, hey, she can't always be the lead. And the teacher told me to mind my own business.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know if I could accept that. I don't know if I could accept it.
Well, my kid always the lead. I felt guilty.
Mind your business.
Mind your business.
Ooh, okay. All right, teach. And so you had, I know I heard you kind of say you had 3 when you moved to LA.
Right. So
at that time.
Right. So I have 5 kids, and when I divorced, all of 4 of my kids went back to Arizona, and one of them went to St. Louis, where she's from, because I had a daughter in high school. And so when I moved to LA, one by one, the older kids start moving, and the younger 2 were still in Arizona in junior high. So
got it. And now, so did you have any kids in the military, or all of them after?
I had all of them during my time in the military. One before, I had one in high school. One in high school. Then I married met a single parent. So I adopted him. I adopted my son, and then we had 3 together, all born in military hospitals. All had a taste of military life. The older 3 remember it. I don't think the youngest 2 remember anything about military life, because we separated in 2000, and they were born in 96 and 98. So I don't think they remember anything about being in the military. Now their mom was military, their grandfather was military. So, but what I'm saying, they were a military brat or anything, they wouldn't have any recollection of. I don't even think they remember me being in. Well, I shouldn't say that, because I was in uniform until 2010. I retired in 2010 in LA, so they saw me in uniform. But they never lived on the base. They knew I was military. They saw me. So.
Okay. So you went to 2010. So did you were you in the war?
Did
you do any tours in the war?
I did not go to Afghanistan the first or Iraq, the first Gulf War. I did try to volunteer, and my wife at the time said, they didn't ask you to go, and that was the end of the conversation. They're not making you go. And so, yeah, that was a very short conversation. And then the next time I tried to volunteer, because in the military, it's kind of like in a football game. If you always sit on the bench, did you play in the Super Bowl, or did you just get the ring? So in the military, when we're at war, you want to get it on your. I know it sounds weird. People are not military, but there's an old George C. Scott movie called Patton. It's Grandpa, what did you do in the war? And he says, I shoveled shit, whatever. But if you didn't go, it looks bad. So if you went, it's a feather in your cap, and you get more chances of promotion. I was stationed at the Pentagon during 9/11 and on second Gulf War. I tried to volunteer for the second Gulf War, but my kids were small. I didn't think they would understand it. That was the time when they were putting bags over people's heads and chopping their heads off. And I was like, my mom will freak out, even though I knew people were going and coming. safely.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't think my mom would understand, and my young kids, my small kids, I didn't think they would understand. So I did. So I never deployed, but
So,
after 9/11, I did work the war from the Pentagon in, trying to find people to send over. Like we went to Iraq and we were there for so long, so we had to build units and headquarters and buildings and like a bases over there. And so somebody got to man the
wow.
bases. Where they gonna come from?
Yeah.
Personnel. So I was like a combat personnel office in basement of the Pentagon. Late hours at night, finding people to send, and then you have to in the military. I can't just send you forever because you got a family. So we got to figure out how do you
Yeah.
rotate all these people over there because we're gonna be there for a long time. And whenever we're at war like that, it's a strain on the families because some career fields like cops, intelligence officers, because intelligence officers interrogate people, interrogate the bad guys, and the contracting officers over there buying everything. Oh, we need this, we need that, we need tents, we need blah 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 blah. And those people are going like every 6 months. They go on for 6 months, so 6 months
Jeez.
on, 6 months off, and it destroys families and stuff. So you try to minimize that as much as you can. That was my job at the Pentagon post 9/11. During 9/11, I was on a musical tour, and so I missed it. I was They did the musical tour because I would have been there when the plane hit. Matter of fact,
Missed it.
it hit in the section where I used to work. I'm watching it on TV.
Oh, you were working at the Pentagon,
I was
but you happen to be away
right,
on a musical tour.
right. And the other thing people don't know
9/11.
is that like the Pentagon has like it's a 5-sided building. They call them wedges. That wedge was under renovation, so it was the least populated part of the Pentagon. So praise God, it hit. The top 3 floors were vacant because I used to be on the 5th floor. I'm like, boom! I saw where it went in. I was like, hey, that looks familiar. You know,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Help me,
All right.
cut me
So
off too, man, because I'm this all the time. Man.
no. You
Okay,
good.
all right.
I'm about to explore the mind of a military man who was working at the Pentagon to find out if he personally has allowed any conspiracy theories to saturate his psyche about 9/11. Talk to us.
Dude,
Talk to
some of this
us.
stuff is so stupid.
The world wants to know.
Some of this stuff is so stupid. One, because one of my academy classmates, his brother was the pilot on the plane that flew into the Pentagon. So the theory that this
Mm.
was a missile or something else or some hit the Pentagon and people don't know it was a plane that flew into the Pentagon with people on it. So all those names, if you go out to the Pentagon right now, there are all these little benches out there with people's names on it. There were passengers on the plane as well as the people that were in a meeting room that this plane evidently flew in the second floor, almost like right in the window and killed everybody right in that room. So not only are those people's names on benches outside the Pentagon, but also the people on the plane. Like this guy's name was Jim Burlingame. He went to the academy with me. He was a couple years ahead of me. His brother was the pilot of that plane. There was a black academy graduate who I knew. Well, let me get off that one. The guy who got his throat cut by a box cutter. He was flying the Pennsylvania plane. But I was on a musical tour. Tour ended because we were at war. I came back to the Pentagon. It was all burned up. It looked like something out of Gone with the Wind, and
Wow.
it was like I don't know what it must have been like. So the highway between the highway and the Pentagon, it might be the building itself, 200 yards. So I'm trying to imagine if this plane crashed in the second floor window from, I think it left from Dulles or Reagan, either way, it must have been flying super low over the highway. Because it impacted 200 yards across the
Right.
highway. So I'm thinking those people probably pooped on themselves. They see this plane coming over at like
Right.
50 feet, man. And then the explosion, you know, because the Pentagon's an old concrete building, and it was all burnt up on that side, and I know a lot of people that were there that day, that talked about, what happened that day. Fortunately, I wasn't in there, but I don't know. But that was the biggest conspiracy theory I heard, that it wasn't actually a plane, that it was a missile. And
But
that
that's
is,
huge though. Like you said two or three of the pilots that were flying planes on that day.
yeah, because, and part of it is being Air Force and being Air Force Academy. A lot of Air Force Academy folks go on to become pilots,
Mm.
leave the military, and they take their flying training and get a
Yeah.
more lucrative job with the Air Force. So yeah, the Pennsylvania guy. I can't think of his name right now. But he was a year behind me, and he got killed um, when they took over the plane. And then, like I said, this other guy, his brother was flying the plane that flew into the Pentagon. So I know for a fact, and then if you go to the Pentagon, you see all the names of the people there were passengers on that flight. If you look up that flight number, all the people there on that flight
Yeah.
died too, in
And
addition to the people in the building.
and so you said after it happened, you said you got back and it was all burnt up. Or on how many days from when it happened did you show up? So it's 9/11. You
I
come
was
up
back in early October.
early October. Okay, so it's been a
Yeah,
few
because
weeks.
because they shut down the tour. We're on a musical tour. We get attacked. We're at war. They shut down all the bases. We're at
Of
like
course, of course.
full military. Dogs at the gate. Everything's shut down. Nobody's leaving. Nobody's going. And
Right.
then finally, the tour shut down for a while, and I decided to come back to the Pentagon. I couldn't believe what I saw. I was like, oh my god. And my first thought, or one of my first thoughts was, thank God I was gone, because people walk, like it's a circle basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And so sometimes when you're trying to get from over here to over there, you walk under to get around. So who
Mm,
knows who could have been coming through. Since the construction was on the upper three floors, you couldn't go on those upper three floors. So you would have had to walk through the second floor or first floor to get around. So there's
right.
people that probably died just because they were in the wrong
Passing
place
through.
passing through. And so I just,
And how many floors is the Pentagon?
well, there's 5 above ground, and then there's so many floors, a couple floors below ground.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Oh my goodness. Okay,
yeah,
so because I was gonna talk about how part of that conspiracy was, where's the plane? Where are these parts? Where is this? But since you were there a few weeks later, you can't really speak to that.
right,
However,
because I was looking, I was like, well, where are the fragments and stuff? But what I understand was just like they picked they picked planes going overseas to attack the towers because they'd have the most fuel.
most fuel.
What I was told was that the explosion was just so, the fuel and everything, it just incinerated,
Hmm.
the people and stuff. But like I said, I know for a fact that the guy died, and the passengers died. So they may not be able to. I don't know what happened to the wreckage, but those
Yeah.
people's names are on that bench, and I don't think all those people on that plane would appreciate the fact that the people said
Yeah.
that they didn't die. All you have to do is go look up the flight number and the manifest.
I
You
think
know,
that officially here on Pod is good. You have debunked at least two of those crashes. And I mean the other ones we saw the plane go in. I
right?
mean, of course, 9/11 is riddled with conspiracy
I
theories.
know. I have some family
Riddled.
members that are part of that. So
And they probably feel like, yeah, Ivan, they probably told you to when you were in the basement of that Pentagon, they probably said, listen now, listen. We'll let you leave, but here's the story.
yeah, no, no.
That's crazy. Okay, so um because you've heard so many like crazy conspiracy theories about something that um actually happened, does that affect how you receive other conspiracy theories? Or are you usually open to at least hearing it? Or is it kind of like, man, look, some of the biggest ones, I already know it ain't true, so whatever.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of another one that came up recently. But I mean, I'll hear people out, because sometimes I just want to know how in the hell did you come up with that, you know? But I mean, have you ever seen? I don't know his name, but there's a guy. I don't know. Well, you're not probably. I won't guess your political affiliation, but there's a guy who
Hmm.
always goes around interviewing Trump supporters and asking them questions about what they really believe happened.
You're talking
And
about Clapper?
I don't know, but
Jordan Clapper?
that might be right,
I
and you
think
hear these people saying these crazy things, and you go, God,
yeah.
and so nothing surprises me
Yeah.
anymore. Nothing surprises me, and I don't get into arguments with people about stuff like that. Sometimes at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because we had a whole wave of that during COVID
Oh yeah.
when it came to the vaccine. I still have some anti-vaxxer people that I know, and and the vaccine causes this, the vaccine causes that. Where the vaccine came from, how. there's so much stuff that came out
There's
with
so
that
many. There's so
during
many.
COVID. And what's funny because like I did a PSA for the vaccine before it became legal, and then one of my family members, "Are you going to take the vaccine?" I was like, "Good question." I just took the money because they didn't have a PSA, But when it came time to
Right.
take it, I was like, "Ooh,
And you're
you
like,
know,
I got some thinking to do.
But I
Yeah.
think by that time, New York it had been hit so hard, man. It's like,
Yeah.
how could I not? Because the risk is that they
Right.
don't have a cure for that. I'm a person of a certain age. They don't have a cure for that. So maybe I'll take a chance with what's behind door number 2 with the vaccine and see what happens. If 10 years from later, if you took Pfizer vaccine, blah blah blah, call 800, ambulance chaser. We'll, give money for you.
Right. Right.
That hasn't happened yet, but
Right. Hopefully it doesn't. I mean, I guess you could call me an anti-vaxxer, but it's more like I'm just anti-medicine, period. So
no,
so
I
for
got
me,
you.
it was more of just a consistent way I've lived my life. It wasn't like a brand new thing, like, oh no, I'm not gonna be the one
I
to
was
take it. It
too.
was just like,
I didn't even take the flu vaccine most of the time in the military when it was
yeah,
mandatory. But because of even just going around my parents, that became a thing. It's like, okay, even if I didn't necessarily want to take it,
yeah.
I'm going to see my parents or other people. Now, I did eventually catch COVID, and even with the vaccine and the booster, whatever it was, Omicron or Delta, one of the boogeyman versions, knocked me on my back for like 3 days, man. And I
Wow.
really had to pray. And my sister was a certain, she's a pastor, like, you better come against this thing, kind of like snatch me up by the shirt. Cause I'm just like, well, the medicine's gonna run its course. I had to kind of like spiritually kind of, okay, let's,
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
kind of like, well, just run its course. Well, why? Stand up against this thing because it
Yeah.
knocked me sideways. I was like, what if I hadn't had this?
Yeah.
And I did lose, some people, some very dear people,
Hmm.
COVID, and that I think affected my decision too. And then when I talked to people in New York, I was living in Arizona at the time. I was asking, "Do you know anybody from COVID?" And they were talking about, "Yeah, we know a lot of people." It was like a pendulum. COVID, when it was bad in New York, it was kind of not happening in Phoenix and LA. Then it
Hmm.
went to the Midwest, and then boom. By the time it hit California, New York was good. But so when they were talking about piling up dead bodies and stuff like that, in Arizona, we were still talking about, oh, it's hot. The heat kills COVID. We won't get it. Yeah. Talk about conspiracy theories. People talk about, I was on a tour. I was on a national tour with the Color Purple. And the black folks I was with, oh, we don't see no black people on TV. Black people must not catch COVID.
When there's so much so many questions in the air, it just allows for way too many answers.
Yes.
Way too many unfounded answers.
Yes.
All
But
right, so
that was one of them. Black people must not catch COVID.
black people must not. And then later it was, disproportionately we
Right.
catch it.
Right.
The
Right.
pendulum swung the whole length of the way. So you brought up the Color Purple. I know that was a big run for you. How long did that tour last? And tell us about it. Tell us about
Okay.
being in a musical production, The Color Purple.
Okay. So I had come off of back-to-back shows. One was in LA, West Side Story, and the director goes, "Hey, I'm doing Kinky Boots in Long Island, New York. You want to go?" And so I left from Los Angeles, went to Long Island, and did Kinky Boots. And then while I was
Hold
there,
on,
I
what is
missed
Kinky Boots?
Kinky Boots is where this guy dresses up in uh, like we would call it back then. We call them transvestites. I don't know what we call them today. When a man dresses up in women's clothes and it's a musical, big Broadway musical where they dress
Got it.
up.
It's like cross dressing.
Yeah, and
Got it.
so the lead is a cross dresser, and the other guy is the owner of a shoe factory, and set in England. And these two, their paths cross because the shoemaker, ends up making these fantastic boots for these girls. Lola and the girls, which are all the girls or the angels, are men in drag, and they put
Got
on the
it.
show. And the
Drag.
boots that they produce for the girls save the shoe factory. You know,
Got
and
it.
it's a musical, but it's
Hey,
a Broadway.
so a pair of fantastic boots can do it. Can do a
Yeah,
lot of things. Can change
yeah.
the
So
world. Clearly.
so while I'm doing that show, I missed the Color Purple auditions.
Ah,
but and I was sick about that because every year I flew from either LA. First time I auditioned for was in LA. I flew from fly from Phoenix every year to New York to audition. I missed it, but the understudy auditions
mhm.
happened after our show ended. So I went and got picked to be the understudy for Mister. And then something is called a swing. A swing is like a substitute teacher. So
Hmm.
when you're the substitute teacher for the lead, they call it the understudy. When you're a for the other people, they call it a swing.
Ah,
So I got basically had like six people's parts that I had to learn. And on the tour, I think we did ended like 110 shows. Out of that, I went on for Mister twice, and I went on for Buster once. So it was grueling. The tour enough going all over the country was grueling enough, but watching everybody do their thing and being off in the wings, I didn't go on for the first 65 shows.
oof,
And man, so
oof. Did
emotionally,
you
I
ever
was
have a
wrecked.
moment where you felt? Did you ever have a time where you were just like, maybe I shouldn't be here. This is not gonna happen, or
Many
were you
times,
confident?
many times, many times. No, no, no. I was crying. I was crying real tears. I'll be off sulking. I would do all kind of emotions, and my to the point
65
where
shows.
I had to beg to go on for Buster. I was like, hey man, um, but that's just the life of a swing or understudy, And
Yeah.
but I did get to go on for Mister twice, and that was a big moment because I had been auditioning for Mister for years, and even the guy told me on Broadway the understudy for Mister didn't go on that much, so it made me feel better. But I was like, oh, matter of fact, I've had so many auditions for that since. I just finished one the other day for production of Mister that's I think in Connecticut. So I'm hoping that I'll get another chance to be the lead in that. But it was a great musical. We had
So
very
hold on, hold on,
talented.
hold on.
Yeah,
Let's go back to that because that, to me, that's like a very key and a big moment to show a lot about your endurance and patience. You are now on this national tour for the Color Purple. You've been wanting to do it. You're here. You're with all the talent, city to city, set up to break down everything. You wait 65 shows. You cried real tears to try to get on this stage. I need
yeah.
to know what that first night on stage felt like. You're finally here.
Wow, wow, yeah. Because there were four swings, if you will, two guys, two girls, one younger guy, 25, and then me, one enough to be his daddy. So we're kind of thinking, okay, so everyone had been on before that because the girls that played, that covered Celie and Suge,
Mm,
they went on a lot because the girls sing so much more in the show, so their understudies were used a lot. And the young guy, he had gone on several times, and finally I was like, wait a minute, because they were gonna put him in again at show 65. I was like, oh hell no, I am going on because in New York you fitted me for a costume for this dude,
right.
and you're not going to take this young dude again over me because everybody in this whole team has been on the stage multiple times. I have not been on at all, and I wrote a letter and I pitched a fit.
Oh, you
And
did not write a letter.
I did. I wrote a letter to
You
the
wrote a
management.
letter.
I wrote a letter. Hey man, I'm former military man. I'm like, hey,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I'm talking to the local folks and they just telling me suck it up. I'm like, I can't let this go
I've been
by.
sucking
So
it up. I've been sucking it up.
yeah,
I ain't
we're talking
sucking
up
it no more.
65 shows, and it sucks when you go out to get on the bus and the people, because all black people look like, oh, you were so good on stage. You go, oh, thank you. I haven't been on stage ever. No, and the girls are singing their hearts out, man. You just want to
Oh
be able to
my
like be a part of
gosh.
that. And then people come off stage and they're building all this camera and they're laughing about something happened on stage. Somebody missed the line, somebody's in the wrong place, and you just
You like, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
heard.
I'm just
I heard.
left out. Our tour started in October. I brought my laptop. I'll be down there watching Monday Night Football, man. I'm like, hey, I'm not a part of it. I'm not part of the team. It's like being a water boy, man, on a Super Bowl
Right.
team. It's like, you think I'm a no talent bum, you never put me on. So the first time I went on for Buster, it was pretty cool. But then what happened is people are catty. One of our guys, that his role, he was super, super talented. He was super voice. So somebody asked me and they said, well, how was it? I said, oh, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that hard. So then they go back. He said, doing your part wasn't that hard. And I was like,
Uh,
oh my God. People just, because he didn't have that many lines and I couldn't sing the songs the way he sang in the first place. And I thought that was kind of understood. Nobody in the show could sing. None of them could sing like him.
Yeah.
But then when I went on from Mister, that was different because the first time I went on from Mister, I was like, wow. And then I had some people I knew in the audience in that particular city, or some military people that saw me, and they were really impressed. And it was like, it went really well. That was huge because you go out there and Mister has like a whole bunch of songs,
Yeah.
and then he has this big song at the end before he becomes a nice guy. So that was, and the two times I went on were on the same days. The guy called out. Typically, like, people call out for matinee shows and then do the evening show. So the lead called out for the matinee show, and I assumed he was doing the evening show, and he didn't. So I was like, oh. So I sang twice. So technically, out of all those days on the road, I did one day as Mister. It just happened to be two shows, and one day as Buster. And the other time, I volunteered to be the bag dude, because I figured I could support the team. So every place we went, I would get all the luggage off for the ladies who were off on the bus. That was cool until we got to like whiteout conditions in Iowa and Green Bay, the cold, man, dragging these luggage stuff off. Or then we went right out of the cold, someplace warm. I think Carolina, got sick, But I figured this is my contribution. I'm helping the team because I can't do anything on stage. And then I volunteered to help the box office manager or whatever on the road. Because I was like, I'm going. Right. I know the show. There's nothing left for me to study. Right. I know all the songs, and I've watched the show at least 70 times. I know what's going to happen by now.
Now, hold on. I want to ask about that because there's, I don't know if you watch fighting or not, but there's something they talk about called ring rust, and ring rust is like you haven't been in the ring for a while. You took some time off, and so when you get back in the ring, your timing might be a little off. Your footwork might be a little off. You might need a few fights to kind of, knock the ring rust off and get back into that fluid state. Did you feel like, you've rehearsed and you've practiced, you've auditioned, you've studied, but now you've been sitting and watching Monday Night Football? Did you have that feeling that one night like, okay, it went well, but man, because it was only one, I felt like I could have did this better if I got another one. I feel like this. I feel like what was the aftermath of it to you?
For me, I think it's kind of hard to be rusty if you've never been in. So yeah, I didn't have anything to compare it to. I'd never been on the stage as Mister. So this was like blam.
This is as good as it's ever been.
Yes, because I've never been on. Right. So it's like it's nothing to compare it to. Now in my last show, Next to Normal, I hadn't done musical theater in over a year, and yes, I did have just some brain farts and some, it may sound silly, but as many shows as I've done, something as simple as stage right and stage left. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. Upstage, downstage, or just certain stage terminology because I hadn't done a musical in over a year. And then just getting out of the practice of reading music, I did experience that in my last show. And it caused some problems, and just kind of knowing the show keeps moving. I'm, it's kind of, I'm late. Oh, go off stage, but I'm late because I'm not used to. Because I was understudy in that one too, and they had done 4 shows. I'm just watching the show. I jump in. I'm kind of like behind a lot of things because I just hadn't done a musical in a long time.
And how many shows was the Color Purple tour?
I think we did 110 before the pandemic stopped it. It would have kept going.
Wow.
It would have kept going. So we stopped our show in March. And March is when everything shut down. All the theaters on the East Coast were shutting down. So they gave us one night in Miami to kind of celebrate, and then they sent us home.
And even though you were a swinger, you still get paid.
Yeah, actually, the swings actually got paid more than some of the principals.
Wow.
Because they recognize it's harder maybe to learn 6 parts.
That makes sense.
6 musical parts. And we'll call their track, their costumes, where they're supposed to be on stage, all their lines. Yeah, so it's a lot.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well,
no, you're just watching. I don't care about the money.
Get me on stage. And so, was that your first, like, big musical?
No, it was on that level. Yes, on a national tour. But I thought I had leading roles in Phoenix, but it's kind of like I'd done so many leading roles in Phoenix, and then I went, okay, I think because you're always trying to figure out. Like I read this book many many years ago, talked about a singer. Are you a local singer? Are you a regional singer? Are you a national talent? Global talent? Like Beyonce, maybe generational talent, global talent. So you try and figure out where you fit. So at
Yeah,
Phoenix, I had won a couple of. I had been nominated for Best Actor a couple of times, and when I won it, I'm like, well, why do I need to stay here? Let's see if I can take it to the next level in LA or New York. And so you're always trying to figure out where will I top out. And I'm in that process right now.
yeah, yeah.
Trying to, like they told me, don't keep taking these understudy roles because eventually that's all they'll cast you for. So, because my daughter asked me why I take that, because they're paying me, because they're
Right,
paying me.
right. There's a check in the
Uh, but yeah, you're always trying to
absolutely.
figure out, how good am I, you know, try to grow by going to school. I mean, I've invested in myself in classes. I didn't major in any of this stuff. Most of the people I'm competing against have an MFA, or they've been doing this since they were knee high to a grasshopper, as they would say, 17, 18. In my last show, the guy said he was doing this since he was 17. He was like 38. I'm going, yeah, I've been doing this full time since maybe 2016. It's like, and
Yeah,
kind of started in earnest maybe '04 part time, because when I moved to LA, I would going back and forth. I change out of my uniform while driving. Don't try this at home, folks. Got combat boots. We'll go to audition downtown Hollywood, change back of my, come back to work, and yeah, I did that for like 6 years, trying to squeeze in auditions in LA while having a really demanding job as the deputy director of staff for the Space and Missile Systems Center, working for a 3-star. You
right.
know, it's like, but yeah, my career path was different. So part of what I do is I go to school, try to make up, close the gap on some of the training.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. It's. I know it was probably terrible, in the moment or sometimes dealing with it. In the beginning, being a swinger on Color Purple, it probably was like, hey, hey, we out here. Let's go. City
Yeah.
1, City 2. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
13, 14. All right, 28. Okay, 42. Wow, guys, really? But
And
you
add to that, out of the 4 swings, I was the only one that hadn't gone on by that time, and all
right
of them had gone on at least twice, both girls and the other guy. I'm the only swing that hadn't gone on.
hasn't
So
gone on.
I'm
Now
the
you're
only
starting
one.
to doubt yourself.
And they weren't gonna put me on for show 65. They were gonna put the other swing on again. That's when
Right.
I
Until you
I
wrote
threw the
that
yellow
letter.
flag. Oh hell no! I'm about to kill somebody. I'm about
You
to
wrote
kill
that letter.
somebody.
You probably haven't thought about it this way. I know you've written, a few books. I
Yeah,
bet you don't have a book about that though, do you?
I don't. I don't. That's a good one. Yeah,
Your
because
next title.
it really did something to me. Because I know, like, I don't know if you're familiar with the 5 love languages.
Hmm.
Like
I am.
words of affirmation is one of my big ones. So
Oh.
you swing, you don't get no words of affirmation because nobody see you do nothing. So you ain't getting no love because nobody sees you do nothing. Ain't nobody saying nothing nice to you because you ain't done nothing,
You just
man.
you just back there thinking maybe
If
I'm
I'm
not
supposed
good
to get you
enough.
a touch, ain't nobody hugging you, ain't nobody congratulating, nobody talking to you.
Ooh.
You
Oh
just get
yeah.
on the bus, watch the show, get off the bus, watch the show, get back on the bus. And then we get to the airport, take the luggage off, get to the hotel, put it back in the hotel. It was, oh, God.
Rinse and repeat.
Woo, man, it
Yeah.
was. And then you watch your friends sing their faces off.
Yeah. Yeah.
See
Like you
Celie
said,
sing.
everybody else is on.
Yeah, but it was because it's a powerful show and they're
Yeah.
singing these songs and and you try to make fun of it and try to fit in. And then I'm
Yeah.
older. I'm a good 15 years older than even the person that played old Mister and Pa. I was older than them because
Hmm.
these people who started out like our Mister might have been 33.
Oh
I
wow.
got a daughter older than that. I'm like, and so that's another thing that kind of isolated me because this is my
Yeah.
second career, and though I might look young enough, yeah, I'm way older. So
Yeah.
some of the things they like to do, I don't like to do. Usually they listen to, I'm like, who? And then,
Yeah.
and then yeah. So that's another isolating thing. So
Yeah. That could happen.
Yeah,
I can see
all
that.
that together was like for a mental health crisis. It was bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, that is your next book, and I dare you to title it Swingers. It'll sell even better. It'll sell even better if you call it Swingers. Yo, speaking of your books, what was your last book that you wrote?
Good question. So one of the things I do is I take my Christian titles and then I re-release them in Spanish.
Oh, dope.
So the last book I published was a book on mental health. The English title is A Tsunami of Sadness, but I just released that.
I saw that one.
It just got released in Spanish, but I'm trying to think what was the last one that got published. I don't know because I have written about 35 books
Look at
and
you.
I have three
You
in the
wrote you
work.
wrote all of those as a swinger. That's what you was doing.
I
You're
wrote
like,
some of those. I
might as
wrote
well write a book.
while I was on tour with Color Purple. I wrote 3 books.
I hit
And
it on
all
the
the
head.
time in the, and all the
I
time
hit
in
it
the
on the
world.
head.
And all the time in the world. What am I
Hey,
doing?
gotta
We're
be
on the bus
productive.
for 6 hours, going from somewhere to somewhere. I'm on my laptop.
But hey, but the genius of that is you got paid to write a book that you'll later get paid for.
Yeah, I get royalties every month. So I
Hey,
can't tell
can't
you
be
what
mad
the
at that.
last can't tell you what the last book was because I don't remember. I think it was because I started doing sequels too. I think it was something about hearing from God, book 2 or something like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Because I got to where I'm writing usually like at least 2, probably 3 books at a time. And so I'm in the middle of three books right now, that are in the latter stages of being written. And hopefully by the end of, I almost said Set for Life, every 90 days, that's how it goes. I have a guy named Adrian in LA. He's my Set for Life partner in '08. We still trade 90-day goals. We've been doing that since
Wow,
'08.
nice.
And so every 90 days, these are the books I'm gonna get
Every
done.
90 days, yeah.
So
I wonder if
yeah,
they still do that.
by the end of October, I'm supposed to have published 2 more books. So we'll see how that goes. And now book ideas keep coming, and so I just put them in my phone, and so some ideas haven't even got started. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So for those that don't know, he just mentioned Set for Life, and Set for Life was how would you describe it? A program that was facilitated by Faithful Central Bible Church, and it kind of grouped entrepreneurs or dreamers, however you want to
make
call
it
it.
simpler than that. We had a pastor who was a millionaire who taught us goal setting and created it into a game. And he said he found his great Pastor Thompson, George Thompson said that he found that making annual goals, you have to wait till the end of the year to figure out you didn't make it, and people just carry it over like a New Year's resolution. He found out if you make 90-day goals, you can realize quicker that, oh man, I didn't make that. It caused you to be more productive. So then he created this game called Set for Life, where you have people set goals in every area of their life. They have a coach, they have a team, and they encourage each other to accomplish as much as they can in 90 days. And
Yeah.
he made it a game, and the winner of the game gets a plaque. I was a Set for Life winner, and then I became a Set for Life coach. That's how I met you.
Yep.
But the principle of 90-day goals, once I saw it in effect, because I remember I had a song I had been writing for like 5 years. And this guy said he had written 3 songs in 90 days. I was like, this is the program for me. And they teach you how to, like, okay, in 90 days, you need some forcing factors. So I scheduled to sing these songs before they were even recorded. And
I
2
forgot
days,
you said
2
that.
days
That's true.
before performing them, I still hadn't finished them.
Woo.
I'd already booked it, said I had the songs ready. Lie, but it forced me. I stayed up all night and into the morning, finishing these songs so I could perform it. But I learned how to set these 90-day goals, and it just became the way I did things. And then Adrian, since he was originally on one of my teams, and we just became goal setting partners, and we just been doing it, just kept the habit, and we've been doing it since 2008. And
Wow.
I've kind of changed it a little bit here recently for some mental health reasons, but I'm still kind of on that page where, and that helps keep the books going too. I'm just like, okay. What are my family goals, my fitness goals, my spiritual goals, my business related goals, goals
Yeah.
for my, yeah.
Yeah, no, goal setting is incredibly important, more important than people realize. But what's interesting that you said that you had 90 days and then 2 days before you still didn't have it done. I kind of do something similar, but I learned what I'll do is I'll come up with a 90-day goal, but then I'll have a weekly goal that leads me
Okay.
up
Yeah.
to the
Right.
90
Right.
days. Right? Same kind of idea.
Right.
Just
However
breaking
you
it down.
make it happen. Like for me, since I had only written one song in 5 years, this is the first time I'm trying to write a song in 90 days.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
At Songwriting for Dummies, and we got the book and some other things, but this forcing function, like with books, sometimes I'll say coming soon, or I'll say this book is coming in August to kind of force
Force you to
to
do it.
make
Yeah.
it public, to make you get it
Right.
done in that time. And sometimes it works out that way, sometimes it doesn't. But
Yeah.
it helps when
Yeah.
you tell the world I'm going to do this by this day.
Dude, absolutely. When I was doing the red light lounge, that's what
Yeah,
would happen with me sometimes. It was like,
yeah,
man, we haven't did a show in a while. I would just find a place, book a date. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna have a whole blah blah blah. This many artists, DJs, everything. Give me a date. They give me a date 6 weeks away. Bet. Then I go home like, all right, you got 6 weeks.
right, right, exactly, exactly, exactly.
But there's a benefit to that. People don't may not realize, but there's a benefit to knowing that you have a deadline. Matter of fact, there's a I forgot the name of it, but there's I want to say a system, but it's like a mental system of how we do things that like no matter how much time you give yourself, you'll probably get it done at the very end.
Got it.
It's like there's like a mental I wish I remember the name of it, but there's a thing in all of us. So like if you gave yourself like to study, we all do it in school, right? Oh, I know I got this test and it's 2 months down the road.
Right,
You're still not going to start studying day one and consistently study for 2 months. You're
right,
not going to do it. You're going to wait until it's crunch time because
right.
we all operate in a different space when it's crunch time.
Yeah,
And so, like what you're saying and what's set for life throughout was putting those force factors there to
right,
say, "Hey, it's crunch time.
right. And except for
You
life,
ain't
we
got
also have
5 years to write a song. You got 90 days."
right. Except for life, we also have the weekly calls with our coach, and
Right.
and that kind of thing also kind of helps you not procrastinate too much. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'll never forget because you were my coach. I'll never forget there was a conversation that we had on the phone. I remember I pulled over. I was on the phone with you. I pulled over because it was the first time that we were talking, and I can't remember what we were talking about, but I kept telling you the ways that I look at things. Like, oh yeah, I try to treat this like this, or yeah, I try to approach this like this. And you kept saying, wow, that's crazy that you look at it like that, because that's actually in the Bible. Because in the Bible, blah, 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 blah. And you were like pointing directly to it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know that was biblical. And then we talked some more, and I'm like, yeah. I always think about it like you're like, that's did anybody teach you that? I'm like, no. You're like, yo, that's exactly blah 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 blah. And I was like, yo, this guy's killing me. I literally had to pull over. It happened maybe 2 or 3 times in that conversation. I'll never forget that conversation. Well, I
wow,
forget the conversation, but I'll never forget the feeling of knowing, wow, God had planted certain ideas and seeds inside of me that I was operating on
wow,
but didn't even know. I just thought it just happened to be the way that I looked at it, not realizing that it was connected directly
wow,
back to the source.
wow, wow. That's awesome.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you said all 5 kids are, off doing amazing things. The one's a hairstylist.
Right.
Where is he at?
Well, he lives in Tucson but commutes to LA for his clients. I mean, he's got like just top dollar, high profile people. Like
Wow.
one of his clients, I never forget this. He used to catch the bus out to Malibu, and he was telling me, Dad, her ring cost $30,000 to clean. To clean, it was a $250,000 ring. It cost $30,000 to clean.
Clean.
She was the second wife, and they had a house on sticks in Malibu, and she didn't like it because the first wife lived there, and so they knocked it down and built. That's the kind of client, and they loved him. And so for Christmas one year, they go, Jonathan, here's $5,000. Get yourself a car because we know you take the bus. Blah blah. We just ask that you spend it wisely. So that's the
Wow.
level. He gets somebody. Oh, well, I'm going to meet Trump this weekend, and my hair's got to be right. And so he'll go out there. They're all on the calendar. He's got very high profile clients. I mean, like Beverly Hills, clientele. I know he's done like Paul in the old days, Paul Abdul, people like that. But he's these are mainly just, I guess, rich socialites. Like one lady I looked up because he told me about. I'm gonna go look her up. And her job, what her and her husband did for a living, they were philanthropists. That was their job.
They were what?
Philanthropists. They were giving away money. That's what they did. I was like,
that's their job.
The first time
just give it away.
He said the first time he showed up at their house, he came in the wrong door. And she was like, John, the servants on this side. Like that level people. I mean, he doesn't have to do that anymore. He usually builds a good rapport.
That was the first time.
He showed me a picture of the house. They had a 6-unit apartment in the back of the house for their guests.
Yeah, that's different money right there.
Yeah, that's different money.
That's different money right there. Yeah. Wow.
They trust him to to do their hair. So very proud of him. And the fact that he picked it out. It wasn't something that And so back to that conversation before, you see, like with him, he was always fascinated with hair, baby doll hair, stuff like that. It's just always. And then by the time I was divorced, 2000 or separated. One time he showed up, I always did the girl's hair and goes, Dad, it's like a little water and the grease.
Got to work.
I was like, what? And then he was always experimenting with his hair. I didn't know, later, because sometimes it'd be fried and dyed, colored, permed. And shoot, man, who knew this dude gonna go up and be, hairstylist to the stars, Or like my oldest daughter, I used to get on her about her homework because all her homework, she had little faces drawn on it. I was like, I know you can't be concentrating in class because you're drawing all these faces on your homework. She grows up to be a makeup artist.
Right. There it is.
So clues.
There it is.
So yeah, man, I'm proud of them, and I'm proud that I didn't try to, because I told them each when they were picking schools, you pray about what it is that you want to do and what school you want to go to. My job is to figure out how to pay for it. And if I said, you got more than one father, you got an earthly father, but you got a heavenly father, is not sweating the cost of your tuition. He is not. I learned that from Dr. Price. I'm like, hey, this girl came and told a testimony about how God provided for her school. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't tell my kids to, well, we might not be able to afford that. You had to go to community college. You pray about where you want to go to school. And it seemed like the cost like double, like what my oldest daughter had, then my son's was double that. And then Sarah went to Fidham and it was double for my son's school. And then Abby went to, her school's like 46 a year. It was like, it just kept doubling. I was like, okay, I can't look at it. Lord, you got it. You come through for each kid, and we're going to find a way to get each kid to the school that they prayed about, the school they wanted to go to, and God's going to figure it out. And he did, and they all went to the schools they wanted to go to, and majored in things they wanted to major in. And the rest is history.
That's awesome.
And some of it I paid for, some of it I didn't pay for. Okay, Lord, thanks.
Hey, like you said, the second father made sure it got taken care of.
And then I try to teach them that, because one day, you're going to be grown, and you got to learn just like I did. When I need stuff, I go to him like that. You got to learn the same thing for yourself, because he's your father too. He cares just as much about your needs. He loves you more than I do. I love you to a point, because sometimes you got crazy. I'll be ready to cut you loose. So. I'm human. I can only love them so much. God loves them.
There you go.
They're not.
We get it. So it seems like each one of them kind of found their own direction.
Yeah.
It's not like they all, created a band, or they all, got together and opened a restaurant. It's like they all kind of have their own path.
The oldest three did get together and form a company.
Oh
because
wow.
one does hair, one does makeup, and one did styling or fashion. And so
Oh, what are we talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, and they feed each other gigs. Oh, you need a hairstylist. Oh, you need a makeup artist.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
or because like my daughter, when she got into the nanny stuff, she still heard things because her classmates went to fit them, and so if she hears something, she hey, tell her brother. Like my son wasn't even really a model like that, but so my daughter knew who was running LA Fashion Week. He walked the runway at LA Fashion Week, and he was the only model from the U.S. All of them were, some of them were black, but they were all from France. They were all from overseas. But because he had the hookup through his sister,
Nice.
and they've done, like, I remember years ago they did an event for CeeLo Green where they all showed up, and one did hair, one did makeup. They do weddings like that. I don't think they do that. The older two may, because my third daughter now, she just had a baby 4 months ago on the 20th and got married,
Hmm.
so she's kind of out of the fashion and nannying game because she's using all that 13 years of celebrity nanny experience on her daughter, on my granddaughter. But yeah, they were doing feed each other gigs for a long time, and they created their own company. So even though they chose their own lanes, because three of them were in the entertainment industry and lived in the same apartment complex in in the valley.
Oh
um,
nice.
yeah, because I know when my daughter graduated FITM, the weekend she graduated, the older two were doing a fashion show. One was doing hair, one was doing makeup, and they said, "You're pulling clothes," and put her right to work.
That's how
And
you do it.
that's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
Throw them in the water. So I'm very, very
Yeah.
proud of them. That they found, because I go to schools. I've been going to schools and talking to kids for God since like '86. I always, told I never wanted. I tell the kids, I always give a homework assignment. I say, I want you this week to look at every adult that you see this week, and ask yourself, is this what they wanted to do when they grew up?
Hmm.
And my thing for my kids was, I wanted to see them do something that they enjoy doing, not something that they had to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
uh,
That's the difference in
and
life.
yeah. But I said, because eventually you get old enough, you're gonna have some have tos. Rent. You're either gonna get it, you're gonna have a baby, you're gonna get married, or one. They may not come in order. You're gonna
Right.
get a lease,
Some order.
car payment, something that's gonna force you to go to work. And then if you're not careful, debt, leases, kids, whatever, then you get stuck in a job
Yep.
that you never wanted to do. And I saw my parents do that. I said I would never do that. Happened to me too. I had a kid at 17, had to join the military. I never wanted to go in the military. Joined the military because I had a kid. And then so my dreams, if you will, got deferred
Hmm.
28 years. Staying in the military, but God preserved me, and I'm still able at a much older age to do things that I would have thought I would be old and dried up. Now I remember when I thought 28 was old. So
Oh yeah. We all do that. No matter what it is. Like, oh, that's really old. I'll never be doing this when I'm that age. Then you're that age, like,
yeah, I remember
okay,
one of my
not
my
so
PE
bad.
in one of my PE classes when I turned 50, they were having a party for me, and one of my students came up to me in second grade, goes, "Mr. T, you're 50? You're almost dead."
Dang.
Oh
Well, how do
man.
you really feel about me? Goodness. You just brought up your military. I felt like we kind of glossed over it. You were in the Air Force,
Yeah.
right? I won't, I guess, spend too much time on it, but I've had a few military people on, ex-military, and everybody has a story.
Okay.
Everybody's got at least that one story. And I know you didn't go, and I think that's why we skipped over, because then we went to
Oh, 7 day
9/11
combat.
when we
Right.
started.
Right.
Yeah. But any stories or memories about your time in the Air Force jump out to you, or through they do basic training? Yeah, you do basic
Yeah, and I,
training.
and I went to a military academy as well. I went to the Air Force Academy. It's like
Mm,
you have West Point, Annapolis, and the Air Force Academy.
okay,
So we had all the legal training and all the hazing and all the other stuff.
of course.
Um, I think for me, because I didn't go to combat, what I remember most about the military is the people. Some of the people that either worked for me or that I worked with. I was a supervisor. I was an officer, and I had some characters, and I've seen a lot of things. I can tell you some funny stories. Like we had a one unit. It seemed like everything in the world was going along. We had people got left suicide note. We had people. This guy got brought up on a rape charge, but they filmed it with government equipment, and so it was easy to prove that it wasn't rape. Because they the audio visual department for the base worked for me, and these people were all in that shop. And she claimed it was rape, but they had the video
Oh
footage.
wow.
It's all these crazy things were happening to me as a supervisor. We had some someone got threatened this girl's life. She wouldn't sleep with him. We just had all these crazy discipline things, that I had to deal with as a boss. Had fired some people. That's not really my personality type, but I had to. I'm an actor. Put on a hat, put on
Yeah.
my scary face, and So I think for me, when I remember my time in the military, I don't remember necessarily because I wasn't in any harrowing experience. It's just the jobs I had, maybe, and the people I worked with.
Yeah.
A lot of growth experiences being a supervisor. I think the largest number of people I supervised was 80. In some military circles, that's not a lot, but that's a lot of personalities and people. I look at it as people to take care of. People are doing a good job. How do I get you promoted? How do I get you into the job that you want next? How do I get around this dude? He's one of the ranky people. We can't supervise his way out of a paper bag. How do I move him up to the side so the organization can flourish? Those kind of things. And I won. I was successful. I won a lot of awards. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. And
But even the things that you may not feel, are a big deal. Like to someone like me, people that didn't live that life, it's like just hearing that someone was complaining about being raped, but then the audio video equipment proved like that kind of stuff doesn't make it to the public. So it's still a
yeah,
very interesting story. It's almost eye opening. Like that
yeah,
happens.
man. Just like all this stuff was happening. We had this one supervisor who was letting the young airmen drink underage. I think they drinking age 21. He was bringing alcohol to the work center because he was alcoholic. And so many bad things
Hmm.
happened as a result of that. One that we have like the Betty Ford Clinic in the Air Force have
Hmm.
something like that. They call it a tank. And so two people became alcoholics that it shit them off. One dude got into a fight in the bowling alley, got hit in the face with a bowling ball
Oh,
because he was drunk and started some stuff. So those kind of things you're like, what happened? Oh, so and so got hit in the face with a bowling ball. Like, what? And this is that broke about what happened? Oh, he was drunk. Okay. And you start tracing it back. Well, how are these airmen getting drunk? And you trace it back. Oh, they're all in
wow.
the audiovisual work center where people were doing all kind of crazy things. It's a lot of stuff going
Wow.
over there, and I'm the boss, and I have to go fix it and find out what's going on. I learned some lessons about leadership because the dude that was running it basically told me, "I got this. You don't ever need to come over." It's kind of trying to punk me. It's kind of like I'm a new young captain. He's a master sergeant, been in 17 years on
Hold on,
me.
hold on. Say that again. Your voice kind of went down. Right
So
after you said, "I got you."
what he was saying was like, it'd be like if you were the boss of everything there in California. So, Ivan, you'll never need to come out here. I got this.
Hmm.
And so I did that hands off thing because I was a new leader and didn't realize, and then when all these incidents started happening, I went, man, that was on me because I let him punk me and tell me you don't need to come over here. Because every good manager knows to manage by walking around. You got to go look at it. You've owned a business. You can't trust your people with everything. Some things you just got to be there and see it for yourself. And then sometimes
Yeah.
you make corrections, and sometimes people just don't get it, and you got to move them. All right, bro, you just really not catching on. I'm tired of redoing this work. I can't lose customers. You got to go. In this case, I learned too late what was going on. Then I finally, once I figured out what was going on, I told them, hey, everybody over there, including you, worked for me. you know. But I didn't. I said it, but I never went over. And so, leadership lesson. I went, okay, I really do need to go and look at everything. It's all my responsibility. Buck stops here. So,
That makes sense. That makes sense. Man, we went over a, a pretty
we're over a lot.
a pretty storied career here, sir. Um, I think my question that hits me now is like outside of the three books that you're already working on, the auditions that are coming up this week for the other singing opportunities and acting opportunities, and I want to know outside of that what's next. Like what have you not conquered that
Wow.
you really want to conquer?
Oof, man, that's so. I mean, entertainment is so vast. So, like, I want to become a member of SAG. They're on strike right now.
Yeah.
So I do film and television projects out here as well. Part of the reason I chose New York is I could do both, audition for Broadway and still do film and television, even though the capital of film and television is out your way. And then I've done off Broadway, but I haven't been like on Broadway. So I think once I don't want to necessarily be a Broadway performer like my rest of my career. I just want to say I've done it. So for me, there's still milestones that I'm trying to achieve. And then financially, I walked away from six-figure salary as a consultant after I retired. And I'm nowhere near that as an actor performer. And I would like, as I grow in my career, to bring my earnings up to at least what I had, when I left the military.
Yeah.
Um, I, is it possible? I don't know. I'm in the process of figuring that out. I am getting successfully more bigger roles and bigger opportunities, but it takes time. Just like it took them time. Like the guy I was understudy for in my last show, he said he'd been doing it for 17. One of my friends at church, he was Joe Jackson on Broadway for MJ the
Mm,
Musical. Same
yeah.
thing. I started 17, 18. I'm in school for this, blah, blah. So I'm going, okay, I didn't go for school for this. So what's your major? I have an engineering major from Air Force Academy. I'm an organizational behavior major. I have nothing to do with arts, so I've been going to NYU online and going to Berklee College of Music online.
Nice.
All these courses. I took groundlings when I was in LA. I took acting courses in LA. And so over the years, I'm starting to stack up some stuff. And every time I take an acting class or a music class, I do get better and I book more. So it just takes time, and that's something I have a lot of because, in between auditions, if I'm not writing, what am I doing? You know,
Yeah.
but I'm not sitting around. I'm old. I'm almost 60, and I'm just gonna sit here in a rocking chair. That's not me. That's
Right.
not gonna be. That's not ever gonna be me.
Yeah.
Especially
No.
if I go down to Tuskegee Airmen and find out these 100-year-old men was getting Viagra. I'm gonna be on mine for a long time. This was eye
You
opening.
can't stop me now.
It stopped me
You
down,
can't stop
man.
me now.
It stopped me down. So no, man. I just kind of it takes patience because we look at, well, you're in Hollywood, you're in LA, you see people on television, or I've seen people who made it, people that I knew. My improv instructor at the Groundlings in '04, '05 is now Flo on Progressive. She was my teacher. So
Ah.
I know I had a good teacher. The characters she taught us how to create in class. She making millions of dollars doing it. And
Don't-
so I see different people I started out that were ahead of me and did it full time. And I'm going, okay, they had this big head start. It keeps me going. One of my friends became the co-star of Insecure. Yvonne
Ah.
Orji. I remember she's doing little open mic things here in New York, and I see these people and the time they put in, you go, so I'm still trying to figure out, okay, one of my friends, she's still on MJ as the mom on MJ. I did a musical with her in 2010. She was
Mm.
just, what are you doing this little poo butt off Broadway show? She said I want one day be on, do musicals, and now she's in. Now this girl can sing the paint off the wall. She's open for like Layla Hathaway and also she's a John Legend backup singer. She ain't no scrub,
Oh wow.
but it still takes time,
Takes time.
and so that's where faith comes in. The scripture, that's my scripture I'm standing on out here. Peter said, "Lord, we have left all to follow you." And he said, I tell you the truth, no man who's left house, brothers, sisters, mother, father, for my sake. I was
Yeah.
like, Lord, you told me to come to New York. I wasn't really that keen about coming to New York. So
Yeah.
I'm believing that, and then I read I can't think of his name right now, see his face. The guy that was married to, they just broke up. He was a preacher and she Megan Good, her
Mm.
husband.
Oh,
I don't know if you,
Devin,
yeah,
Devon, something,
Devon Franklin.
Franklin.
He had a book called The Hollywood Commandments, and he was saying you basically have to move to Hollywood or New York. Maybe we would include Atlanta. If you're going to be in this career, you have to be where the work is. And so I've made that step. September will be 3 years. I've moved here, and things are happening that couldn't happen in Phoenix. So I just have to be patient, believing that if I keep investing in it, I'm going to keep growing in it. And then one day I'll hit that ceiling. I don't know what that ceiling is. I know what my dreams are, and I'm nowhere near those dreams. So I was like, maybe I'll be like a Morgan. Morgan Freeman got to go on to heaven sometime. You got to glory to glory. So Denzel got to move. Denzel like that. Samuel L. You can't hog up all the movies forever. Eventually, you'll be too old to do every movie.
Right.
There's gonna be a space for
Got
me.
to be because it's only you only can put 1 to 2 black people in each category group. It's like you
Yeah,
get
but I'm
one
gonna
or
say
two
he's
comedic
eventually gonna age.
actors.
He's gonna age out of certain
Right.
things.
Right. Right.
I be able to do it, or I'll be the old dude. I'll be the new old dude, the new. Morgan Freeman, you know. So that's my take on it. I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm here, um, and I'm gonna be patient. And it's not easy, just like the whole, like you said, just like the Color Purple thing wasn't easy. And
Yeah.
this is a hard business. A lot of no's. Like one of my friends, she posted a couple weeks ago. She said she was a reader at one of the auditions. She said for that particular show, they had 12 parts. I think she said they got 2,000 submissions, and they called in 200.
Mm,
She said, so if you got an in-person audition, you've already done something.
right.
But most of the times the answer is no. I mean, I've had hundreds and hundreds of auditions in the 3 years I've been here. How many have I booked? I've done some regional commercials, some cool things. A film for ESPN on Super Bowl Sunday, like 3 years ago. Some cool things. I'm going, okay. But with as time goes, like I just finished the show, and every show goes on my resume, and everything that goes on my resume makes me more competitive for the next show.
Yeah.
Because the more experienced you are in any field, like if you were hiring somebody to do sound engineering, you want to see how many sound jobs they've done.
Right. Right.
The guy, all things being equal, one guy got a resume this long, one guy got.
Yeah. And
It's the
what,
same way out here.
you're actually leading into the next question I was going to ask. I'm going to let you continue to flow with it. I was going to say, what would be your advice, for someone that's trying to get into it now, someone that's trying to be on a musical, someone that wants to perform for the Lakers, someone that wants to, be in a TV show, like they're just getting to LA or they're thinking about going to LA.
Yeah, some of it I remember I learned from Faithful Central. Faithful Central had a great group of professional actors when I was there, and she said, one lady said, find a way to perform every week. Get on stage. Will Smith used to say he used to be on stage every week, whether it was rapping or singing or some kind of open mic. So I would say, one, get after it. If you like, what they said was, if you have a job, do community theater at night. Start working on your craft. And then I would add, treat it like a profession. Start going to school. You know, go if you're a singer, take voice lessons. Go do because sometimes maybe just going and doing karaoke, you're not necessarily going to get better. And like any sport, Kobe had a coach, MJ had a coach, LeBron has a coach.
Right.
So invest in yourself. Take acting classes. In LA, it's hard because there's so many advertisements for acting classes. You got to get into a circle of other actors. Hey, what classes did you take?
Right.
The singers, what maybe get in a band, and get regularly performing. And then sometimes you do learn by doing. I know in my first musical in LA, I was a terrible actor. But I learned from the director. I mean, my first acting job in LA, the lady told me, black lady, she goes, "Didn't you say you were a singer?" She goes, "Maybe you should stick to that."
Ooh. Ooh.
No lie, man. When I pick up one of them statues,
Hollywood will keep it straight.
when I pick up one of my statues, I'm gonna recall that moment. She said,
Yes.
why don't you stick to that?" But the truth is, I went and worked on my craft. So
Ooh.
you gotta, whatever your craft is, like for you, if it's podcast, you go and you benchmark other podcast folks. You ask them, where'd you get your microphone? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? How'd you grow your followers? So you get with other people that are doing what you're trying to do, and that's why it's important to live in LA or New York or Atlanta, where you can get around other people that are more successful than you, and then ask them how they got to where they're going, and then be willing to make the sacrifices they made. I've always read the resumes of people on Broadway. All those credits, well, that's how long it took them to get there. So when I look at mine, I only got this many credits. I can't
Yeah,
be crying saying I don't have the same job that they have because I'm trying to skip steps. So
that's
work
true.
on your work on your craft. Some people think it's just singing or it's just acting like it's not a profession.
Yeah,
That are professional skills. Because I learned a long time ago, some of the biggest stars or singers still took voice lessons. I was like, get out of here. They have vocal
absolutely.
coaches. I didn't realize that. I just thought
Yeah,
you could sing, but it's so much,
so much more.
more than, especially if you're trying to like musical theater, because you got to be able to sight read and you got to be able to act. Or singers, some of it you got to learn the business. There's a lot of people that can sing their face off, but as you know, it's a business. And the whole business just changed recently with Spotify and iTunes, and
Completely.
you're not selling CDs out your trunk no more, or you got to find somebody that knows how to do that. I've adopted mentors, and try to get them. Well, how are you doing this? Why?
Yeah,
And
yeah. That's funny you bring up selling CDs out of your trunk. My last guest in episode 27, brother Jamel, was talking about how he made his first. He was a DJ, and how he made his first mixtape and was selling it pretty much hand to hand. And he said he sold like 5,000 copies, over a certain amount of time. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, people don't understand, like, when you're independent, especially back in the day when
Right.
people actually were looking for, tangible
Right.
media, that you set up for $10, that's $50,000
Yeah.
independently. Like, that's a big deal. But
Yeah.
but nowadays that world just isn't here
Right.
anymore.
Right. And then 5,000 plays on Spotify or iTunes is nothing. You got to get like 1,000,000 plays to start
Yeah,
making
that's like a dollar
money.
85.
Yeah. Right.
You went from $50,000 to $1.85.
Yeah. And then you gotta do the payola things to try to figure out how to get on people's playlists and all this other stuff.
Man, it's
Yeah.
a it's a so it's funny. I was gonna go somewhere else, but you bring up payola, and it kind of made me think about all the work that people do in LA to try to, get on, to try to break through. I think I once said in the song, it's like trying to sell records on a 5,000-mile-an-hour interstate. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so much going on. How do you get someone to stop and just look at you for even
Right.
a split second? And so that's made me think that in this current age, it's almost better than not be in LA, because you have stories like, and I guess it depends on what you're trying to do, but you
Yeah.
have stories like Justin Bieber, who's, on YouTube singing songs in Canada on his couch, and he
Right.
turns into like a novelty. And that's one thing that I know, LA loves. LA loves to be the one that found something, the one that
Right.
that built something, and has this new thing for the world to adore. And so, what are your thoughts on that? Like, I guess you wear so many hats. So let's just take the singer's hat. So
Yep.
as a singer, what are your thoughts on having to actually be in a big city where, like you said, auditions might be 2,000 people long, or trying to get meetings with people? They're talking to people all day long. They're taking emails all day long, or trying to become like locally famous in Detroit, to where everybody in Detroit know you. And next thing you know, you just the buzz of the town, and it leaks over into, Chicago or into St. Louis. And next thing you know, LA don't got no choice but to, like, hey, what's going on over there?
Right. Right. I think that's actually easy. You gotta keep putting in work, man. You gotta keep putting in work because Justin Bieber was discovered by Usher, but he put in the work to grow. Because I went to a independent music conference years ago, and one of the things they talked about was YouTube and growing a following on YouTube. Because like the Tuskegee Airmen thing, I talked about how that happened. This lady found my video on YouTube. So they tell singers, put your songs. I got to get plug my laptop in. Hold on, because my power is about to go out. That would be terrible
We
in the
do not
middle of
want
the
your power to go
show.
out. I mean,
No,
we
not
can
in
get
the
you
middle.
back, but we still want to.
No, we don't.
I'm loving that jersey over there. What is that?
Roger Staubach. That's the Roger Staubach.
Throwback. Ooh,
Now,
a
I'm a man of a certain generation. You know,
throwback. I love it.
got the
I love
throwbacks. I
it.
need
See,
to give me a Dak one, but Dak gotta do a little bit more. Before I can pay
yeah,
that
yeah.
Dak money.
Starbuck did enough for you to wear his. Dak gotta. I mean, Dak has done a lot, but he
Yeah,
still got to
Dak
do
gotta
more
do a
to
little
get
bit
the jersey.
more. So
But okay,
I'm thinking you keep grinding. Like my mentors told me, make the songs anyway. You never know what will happen. And
mm,
a year later, it already happened. She saw my YouTube video, picked that song. Then she started going through my Spotify music and found that song and said, hey, like one of my other mentors, he said he was found out some songs he didn't think were doing anything. We're playing in Europe, and he had royalties he didn't even know. So I would
wow,
say you got to keep grinding. Like for me, I took an audition class from one of the Broadway casting agencies, and I found out a lot of this one major audition site. He goes, we don't even look at it. I'm like, oh, you mean every month, every week, all these auditions I'm sitting, you don't even look at them. He goes, when we get a thing in, we call who we know. He goes, you got to do something so we can see you. And so I'm going, how can I do something so you can see me if you ain't even looking at my auditions? But then I went to an industry picnic and I found out one of my friends has a talent agency. And I asked them, how did she find you? They went to a showcase
mm,
where they could be seen and she picked them up. And I was okay. So every audition I do, whether I get it or not, they see me.
yeah,
And I'm making the rounds, like I was at the picnic and there was a girl that worked in casting. She goes, "Oh, I've seen your face come up a lot. I've seen your headshot come up a lot." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Then why ain't you cast me?" You know,
Right, right,
because
right.
I don't know you. I don't know you.
I don't know you. Yeah.
You know, but so I'm going. The more you keep doing, you know, like even like this Tuskegee thing, there are people from all over the country. Now that song is going to go back all over the country. You know, so I think you just got to keep plugging and keep plugging and keep plugging, keep working on your craft. Because I've gotten better. I'm a better singer now at 58 than I was in LA in 2004. I would have thought the opposite because I was thinking you get old, you lose. And I'm sure you do lose a step, you know, vocally or something, but I'm better trained, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm better exercised. But I would say you keep grinding, even like my books, you know, the first book I wrote, but now over time, because like even like on with the book stuff, you try to get ratings because the
Yeah.
more ratings you get, you know, like the first book now it's got like 19 5-star ratings. Like I forgot how many you need before Amazon does whatever. I'm going, ooh. And so, and then now that book has gotten out so many different places, and
Yeah.
that's brought me speaking opportunities and other kind of things. It just takes time, but you can't advance if you stop or quit, you know. And so everyone has a you might have to take a pause. Like the guy that was our Color Purple guy for Mister, he had to when the pandemic hit, he had to go join the airlines. I'm in a
Yeah.
position where I don't have to do that because I have retired military. So I would say for anybody like that, just keep. It's the dream. You got to keep believing in the dream. You got to
Gotcha.
keep Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner kept on this Iowa bagging groceries, you
Ooh.
know,
Bag
and
and
you know you got
groceries.
to
Next
keep
year,
believing in your dream, you know,
Super Bowl
until
champion.
yeah, you know, and then have advisors because maybe somebody, you know, with the old American Idol days, some people like, no, bro, you really can't sing. You know, you really need to really give this up. But I mean, as long as you have advisors and stuff, I'm going. I've seen it with my books because now I get royalty checks every month, and usually your friends aren't buying your books. There's a little joke about that because people are selling stuff. It's people I don't know. It's word of mouth. I'm selling books in Mexico. I'm selling books in other countries. I'm like, I don't know how that's happening. My number two best-selling ebook is in Spanish. I'm like, who's buying all
Wow.
these Spanish? Who's buying all these Spanish books? I don't know. But over time it's
Okay.
just going to be more and more and more. Then they're gonna, you know, so it's like a throwing a rock in the ocean, the ripples. You keep
Mm.
throwing rocks in the, you know, or keep throwing. The old days they put a note in the bottle. Bitches gonna wash up for sure, and different people gonna find your stuff. I've watched Yvonne
Yeah.
toil away at her little hosting thing, and then next thing you know she got a show on Broadway, her own one woman show. I've watched the Flow lady. I watched some of my friends. The black person on Flow. I mean, the black guy on Progressive. He's a dark skinned brother on the. They didn't used to have any black progressive people, but there's Alan on Progressive. He started doing open mics in LA. I used to sing with him, but he's done so many commercials, some super
That's
funny
crazy.
commercials, and now he's got this. So I see the pattern. Keep chugging away, keep building your resume, keep being consistent, keep doing excellent, you know. And so now, like I said, I've seen it with my books, I've seen it with some musical stuff recently. I made the union, I made the actors the musical theater union last November, I believe.
Yeah.
Just
You just
keep
got to trust the
like,
process.
trust the process, get good
Continue.
advisors. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and I pay for classes, you know. Even my friend who's at a talent agency, I paid for her consulting to tell me what should I be doing different, you know, to grow my career and just keep, you know, I mean, obviously pray, you know, Lord, am I in the right place? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I keep getting the reassurance that I am, and I just
Yeah.
got to keep going with it until one day we call me for a podcast. I'll be too busy because I will be booked out of my mind.
I have to come and do it on site. On site. I'll be talking to. I I won't even book. I won't even talk to you because you're gonna be too busy. I'll
Have
just
my
sit there and
assistant.
interview all the other swingers and tell them I understand what you're going through. I
I'll never
understand.
be too busy for you. I'll never be too busy.
Keep trucking along. Speaking of keeping the dream alive, let's end this conversation with with talking about our Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, yes, sir.
Let's go there. Let's go
Let's
there.
go there. Let's go there.
So our team looks incredibly good this year. Though we do have Dak Prescott at the helm. Um,
Okay.
I think that Dak is a quality quarterback. You know, I
Yes.
do believe that he's he's definitely a top 15
Yes.
quarterback in the
Top
league.
half. Yeah, it's only 32 teams, right?
There's only 32 teams. He's definitely top 16. Absolutely. There's been some years that you could probably argue him into top 10 status
Yes, yes.
because
Certainly his rookie year for sure.
his
Yeah.
productivity be off the charts. Sometimes it's empty
Yeah.
calories, but it'd be off the charts. He had a struggle last year with interceptions specifically.
Yeah.
And he recently during a press conference said, or an interview with the press, said that he promised
He wouldn't
that
have
he
that
was
many.
not going to have that many.
Right. Because that was
Uh,
an outlier. Because Dak's always been pretty good with
he's
interception.
always been good.
He hasn't been Romo. People forget. People don't have a good memory. Romo would always throw interceptions at the crucial times. You're like,
Yes. And Romo was
oh,
really good, but
and he was still loved. We knew he was going to throw the interception. We knew he was going to throw, but they still loved him. Dak, I think
right.
they're a little bit harder on. You know,
Yeah. And I think the reason they're harder on Dak is because even though a lot of
that's
okay.
part of it. That's part of it.
That's definitely a part of it. Because they used to feel like black athletes couldn't be quarterbacks because they thought it
Right.
was too intellectually
Yeah.
challenging.
Now we almost flipped the script. You better go find one.
You better find one quick.
Go spend your draft capital on Trey Lance or the guy in Green Bay and piss off Aaron Rodgers. Just get a black
Right,
mobile quarterback.
right.
The
You
next
you
Patrick
you need that.
Mahomes.
You need
Yeah.
that. Um, but shoot, what was I saying?
What's the
But yeah,
question?
why they're so hard on him? But I also think, including that, it's because they have everything that they need to be a Super Bowl contending team.
I
To
don't
me,
know that to be true. Here's my. I've been waiting to share. I've been waiting to share this
oh,
theory.
here we go.
Here's
Here
my
we
theory.
go.
Every Super Bowl winning team the Cowboys have has had a Hall of Fame tailback. Every team. Tony Dorsett.
Yep.
And then the Cowboys historically have had a Herschel Walker, Tony Dorsett, Calvin, whatever his name was, Marion Barber, Zeke in his prime. When Dak was at his best, when Zeke was at his best. Zeke starts falling off. Dak has to throw more. So my theory is, I like Tony Pollard. I think they still need a pounder. I don't know. I know they got the little dude, Deuce Vaughn. I don't know running game wise. I'm just saying our history. It used to be a thing with Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett runs 100 yards. Dallas Cowboys won some incredible number.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman had Emmett, the all-time rushing leader.
Yeah.
In Zeke's prime, they could be balanced. I don't know if they could be balanced with Tony Pollard enough so that Dak won't be forced into this throw. When Jason Garrett was there, they would get into the throw, and they didn't need to because they had a healthy Zeke. When they lost to the Packers, when they still had Dez, they were like a third and something short, and Jason Garrett calls this goofy screen that gets intercepted. And Zeke was averaging 5 yards a carry. I'm like, dude, what is you doing? Y'all running the ball down the Packers' throats, and you try to get cute and throw the ball because you're a quarterback. And our last offensive coordinator was a quarterback. Quarterbacks think throw. And so I don't know that they have the running game. Especially
I don't know, man.
Really went and got some more monsters. They already had some monsters on defensive line. They went and got some more defensive line monsters.
Philly is definitely going to be a force to reckon with.
We don't have. I mean, we got some cool receivers. I still hate that they let Amari go. I don't see the running game. I don't know. I'm just saying that hasn't been our history. We have not won a Super Bowl without a Hall of Fame tailback.
But I'm excited to see what Pollard does because I feel like last year, the last few years, I agree with you about Cooper. I also agree with the complaint that they even had when Cooper was with the Raiders that, it's like his engine just doesn't run hot. Cooper's like too cool, too much. Coop, especially out of town, he'll be, let me sit down. He'll just disappear. But I like that they added Cooks on the other side because that's what I felt last year. I felt like we got too predictable. I felt like Zeke was, a cloud of smoke in 1 yard almost every carry. And so it's like by the time you give it to Zeke and now it's 2nd and 9, you give it to Zeke and now it's 3rd and 11.
Yeah.
We know you're going to pass. You really only have Lamb.
Right.
like we know you're going to probably go to Lamb, so he comes across the middle. We pick. It's like
Right. And sometimes he wasn't in the right place. He wasn't the route runner that Amari was. And I
right.
know
No, no.
some of that got blamed on Dak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited about the defense. I think we want to have a top 3 defense because we got the same coordinator. Micah's beefed up. They got some more pieces. A
Yeah.
run stopper. This big dude they drafted to plug up the middle. Finally,
Oh yeah. You're talking
I think
about
their defense is going. I can't think Malik or something with
it
an
starts
M.
with an M. Why can't I think of
Yeah, that dude's going to be a monster in the middle.
Maji? Shoot, I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Something
That
like
dude.
that.
Yeah. So I mean, I
Mozzie.
think
Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith. So I think, and then I hate to go into coaching, who our coach is, but I'm not really. I kind of hoped he would get. The hope it was they was losing last year, so they could promote the defensive coordinator to coach.
Yeah.
Was he kind of threw Kellen Moore under the bus, talking about I'm gonna be the play caller, it's gonna be better.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at
Yeah,
all.
I'm like, you the boss. You was his boss. What do you mean when he was calling plays that you was his boss?
Right.
So if one game he called too many passes, the next game he shouldn't have because you're the boss. But
Easy.
you
Easy
threw him under the
fix.
bus. So we'll see how they do. I mean, I don't think it's Dak's fault, but I'm just saying when I look at Dak won Rookie of the Year, the year that that Zeke could have won Rookie of the Year. And when Zeke's productivity was high,
Oh
Dak was
yeah,
good.
they had the
Yeah,
same stat when Zeke ran for over 100 yards. They were I forgot which season. It might have been 2021 or something like that. It was like every time Zeke ran over 100, they were literally undefeated.
right. But
Like they didn't lose any
that's kind
game
of I
that he
think the
ran.
Cowboys' mo. It's
Right.
historically balanced, run
Gotcha.
pass balance, good defense. In the years
Gotcha.
that they've had a great running back and good defense, they've always done well. But when
Yeah.
Tony Romo threw 40 times a game, 2 of them was going somewhere else. If Dak throws
Right.
40 times a game, 1 or 2 of them going to go somewhere else. It's not rocket science. There's only a couple people who can get away with that. Patrick
Right.
Mahomes,
Right.
they can throw 40 times, not have a running game. But even the Chiefs this year got back to a running game, to make it more balanced. Now,
Yeah.
granted, there's only so many Patrick Mahomes and little dude and Joe Burrow and the guy in San Diego. There's some outliers out there that,
Herbert.
but even Cincinnati, we beat Cincinnati one year because if you got to stay back there and throw all the time
Oh
and
yeah.
you got no offensive line,
We beat Cincinnati last year.
yeah,
With,
we got to stay back there and throw. We sacked the heck out of that dude,
oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
for us and for Dak, and then Dak, I don't know if he's going to be back to running more again this year. He was part of that too, because you remember, young Dak ran too, so you had
Young
Zeke
Dak can
running.
take off.
Yeah, just like Philadelphia Eagles quarterback take off, like Jalen takes off. Dak,
Yeah.
didn't take off as much as Jalen, but he took off enough to
Oh
keep
yeah.
him honest. So
Yeah.
you take that away from his game, he was throwing even more. Then it's like, okay, because I got hurt, I'm not gonna run. I don't blame you. $100 million, I don't want you running no more. But I still kind of want to see maybe a younger power back. I know we got some guy Rico Dowdle and some other people, but I was kind of wondering. Well, I just saw the Colts let Jonathan Taylor seek a trade. I know that might be too rich for our blood, but
I know. When I saw, every time somebody good pops up, because
yeah,
Dalvin Cooks just popped up.
I was thinking about him too.
I'm like, ooh, and then Taylor popped up. I'm like, ooh, but then you got to think about the psyche of these players, like the ego, because you already had Pollard in the 2 spot under Zeke. Pollard
Yeah,
was outperforming Zeke, even though he
right,
wasn't the every down back.
right,
Now you've traded Zeke. You've now told Pollard, all right, you number 1, and then
yeah,
all of a sudden in
right,
the
exactly,
preseason,
right,
Taylor's in, you out. It's like,
yeah.
you know
You
what I
can't
mean?
do
That's
that.
tough.
You can't do that. I mean, I know, like you said, they can't. Because I was even thinking if they brought in the guy, the second guy you mentioned from Minnesota,
Yeah,
it's
Cooks.
Cooks. Well, no. Dalvin Cook. That
Yeah.
he would still, there might be some controversy there. So, but I saw some of those guys in preseason last year. Some of those backs that hardly ever got in because Zeke was in there. I'm thinking they're okay. So I just don't know. If
Yeah.
running game wise, we don't know that he can be an every down back, and I know for sure he couldn't block like Zeke.
Oh,
You know,
none of them can.
yeah, none of them can.
None
So
of them can. Like Rojo, we got him from from the Chiefs. You know, he's solid.
He's
But
suspended.
right.
Yeah, I was thinking we had him, but dude was
Yeah,
suspended for like 3 games.
suspended. Deuce is not blocking
Yeah, you just step
anybody.
over him. You just step over him.
That's one thing I noticed about in the preseason. Like he's been doing great. You know, scored
Yeah,
both games. He breaks and gets loose. But when they get his hands on him, it's effortless to tackle him. Like I done seen him. He's passing by there and grabbed him, pulled him all the way back. It's like, yeah, that you're gonna have to get away because if they get hands on you, that's the end of the down.
yeah. So
But
I don't know,
I
man.
agree with that.
We'll see. We'll
I
see what
wanted
happens.
I wanted Derrick Henry when they were talking about Derrick Henry
Yeah,
might want
early
to leave. I'm
on,
like, yo, Derrick Henry as
sell
that
the farm.
power
Go
back,
get him.
and
Yeah,
then Tony Pollard. Like now, you talking some weaponry.
yeah. Because like I said, we know can Pollard be an every down back, and if so, for how long? Because we ran Marion Barber into the ground. We ran DeMarco Murray into the
To
ground.
the ground.
You know,
And I don't think he can. I mean, I feel like towards the back end of the year, we started running him a lot more, and then boom, he got injured. It was like,
especially up the middle. You know, I mean,
yeah,
sometimes his speed, he boom, and he's
yeah,
gone. But if
yeah.
you got a pound like near the goal line and stuff, they're gonna have to bring somebody else in. But then it's like, okay, this guy's coming in on goal line, so we know you're probably
You
gonna,
know,
you
they
know.
actually need to
So
get back to having like a bona fide fullback. I know people don't really
I
have
know.
the solid
Frisco
fullback
always finds a
anymore.
way to do it. Frisco always has a fullback.
Yes, yes.
You know, and they you know they always. I just watched one of their preseason replays today. I said they got a fullback. Why come we don't? Because we had a good one and we let go.
Oh
I know
yeah,
we bring in a lineman, which is cool for the blocking. You know,
yeah. Try
we'll
to
bring
pull
in
a tackle or something
yeah,
like
we'll put an extra tackle in
yeah.
the backfield as a or extra tight end or something. So
Oh
we'll
right,
see.
right.
Yeah, we'll see what the great offensive genius of Mike McCarthy pulls off because we really got some talented folks, man. So I don't know. I saw Brock Purdy thrown, which kind of upset me. I was like, I thought he was gonna miss some games. I was kind of hoping he was gonna be out for a little while, and the 49ers
I'm for some reason I'm just not nervous about him. I'm not convinced. I don't know why. He has a great sample size. He did amazing, but there's something about it that makes me feel like it's gonna. I feel like this year it's
he'll
going
come
to
down to
either,
earth a little bit.
yeah, it's gonna either make that look like a fluke, like what happens sometimes when you get a new
Yeah,
quarterback, people don't have tape on them, people haven't really got used to that, and then they do really well. But then once people start to kind of get it, it's like, oh, okay, now
yeah,
we got your number. So I feel like this season is going to cement whether he is the truth or if he's really just Mr. Irrelevant.
yeah. We'll see. He won't go back to being Mr. Irrelevant, but we'll see if he has like a sophomore slump when people get more tape on him. But I mean, it's not just him. It's Shanahan. It's all the juicy pieces they get on defense, man. It's always their defense, man.
Oh,
Even though I thought when they lost Robert Saleh to the Jets, the defense would go down. But then they had the dude that's now the coach of the Texans. They brought him up. D'Amico Ryans came up out of nowhere. So maybe now that he's gone, maybe I can hope that whoever the defensive guy is
right.
now,
Every time they defensive people always get a great job the next season.
yeah, man. It's almost like, okay, Salah's gone. And they got D'Amico Ryans. I'm like, what? And then he was awesome. He went to the Texans. I'm like, okay. I'm kind of hoping the same thing with Philly. They lost the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. I'm hoping that they struggle a little bit out the
Yeah,
gate,
yeah.
because on paper, their defensive line,
But I
they
think
have
I think
3 first-round draft picks on defensive line.
on
Two
defensive line, something
two from
like that.
Alabama, one from Georgia. Yeah, it's sick. So you're talking about running in there. Like I said, I look at that as a whole for us. I like Tony Pollard, but would I say he's a Pro Bowler? No. The whole Dak thing, is he in the top 15 running backs in the league? Maybe. He was always fresh.
Yeah,
He's always split time.
yeah, yeah.
Zeke was doing the grinding and dragging people and pushing. Oh,
Different engine,
third and one, fourth
different
and
engine.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, and making stuff happen. I don't know how they replaced that. Granted, he had to come to earth with his money. I wish he had come to earth with his money in Dallas. He took six
yeah.
million to go with the Patriots. We couldn't give Zeke 6 million after giving him 93 million.
Right.
Well, eight
Yeah,
million. Okay, Zeke, but out of love for you, we'll give you 8. It will keep you here, and you and Dak can be happy. But I think as like you were saying, as long as Zeke was there, it slowed Tony Pollard's emergence.
Yeah.
He should have been, getting way more carries, but out of love for Zeke, they didn't want to. Zeke should have been number 2 season ago.
Right. Couple seasons,
Yeah.
couple of seasons,
But
maybe.
Zeke was sitting on 93 million, and Pollard was borrowing money to get groceries.
That's crazy. Crazy. All right, man. Well, the season is coming. Hopefully, we can get you back on to either talk Cowboys or talk your next great exploit.
Can I plug? So go to
Please.
Amazon, Ivan Thompson, find my book titles. Go to Spotify, iTunes, find my music. I'm on YouTube as well. People don't have, like, older people. I don't have Spotify, iTunes. I have stuff on YouTube. But yeah, check out my books on Amazon. Like I said, there's 35 titles. There's got to be something worth.
Got to be something.
Something in there.
And here they go.
You oh, look at you.
Here they go. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of you.
Yes, sir.
Look at that. The Air Force's Black Pilot Training Experience, the 25 Essential Bible Verses. Ooh, the Black Ceiling. You got some great titles too. Finding Next.
Yeah, man. So that whole finding your dreams, your purpose. So I mean, most of my titles are Christian titles. Most of my books are Christian books. Then I have the 3 books on diversity, a book on fitness. But yeah, most of them are Christian titles. But yeah, check me out on Amazon and Audible. A lot of these books are on Audible as well.
Nice. Nice. First responders. Oh, I see it. Podría salvar tu vida.
Yeah, man. So I try to, if it's a good message, why shouldn't it be available in Spanish? For me, I say if it's content, it should be available in every content media. Audible, paperback, and then languages. I'm gonna try to start next language. I'm gonna try is French, because the church I go to has a big French ministry. I'm gonna find a translator, start doing them in French. Right now, I have a great Spanish translator, and he, it's just money. Okay, we should bring up some more coins and get this one translated. Bring up some more coins, get that one translated. And then I had a whole 3. That's the 3rd in the series. I have a whole Making of a Great America series to address this whole resurgence of racism in America. Yeah, that's the 3rd book in the series. One deals more with police violence and the whole George Floyd kind of thing, and then the first one goes even back to the founding fathers and racism in America. And so we kind of got on that whole thing. But yeah, man. So
this isn't yours. This is somebody else's. Right?
No, that's not me.
Yeah, they always, with the. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so that's the 3 book
series. Nice
series. Yeah. So I'm learning how to do that too on Amazon, how to connect the books in the series. So you see one, but I mean that's all trial and error. Like, oh, I could do that. I can connect these books now. How do I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, man, thank you so much, man, for considering me for your program.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for being here. It was a great conversation. You opened some doors that I didn't know we were going to go down, and you single-handedly ended a conspiracy theory about 9/11 right here. If for nothing else, that was an incredible moment on this show. Anybody that brings that up, send them to episode 28 of Pod is Good. We dealt with it. It is now cemented. Squashed. It is done. It's over.
Squashed. Good. It deserves to be.
Yo,
honor the people that died. It deserves to be.
It deserves it. Ivan, thank you, sir. Hopefully you come back.
Yes.
This is how we send off. I'm gonna say Pod is Good. You say all the time.
All the time.
You already know it. Because church. People that know church, they already know it. All right, my God. Pod is good.
All the time.
And all the time.
Pod is good.
There you go. My God, I appreciate you. Thank you. I see you next time.
All right. Thanks, James. All right. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. That has been episode 28 of the Pod is Good podcast. That was my man, Ivan Thomas. What an incredible conversation. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, on this show, we can also squash conspiracy theories. I know that plenty of people heard them about 9/11. I'm not saying we squashed all of them. I'm not saying some of them might not be true, but I know this particular one, I now have a first-hand account from a man that knew the pilot and understands that it is very sensitive and disrespectful to dishonor the legacy and the name of that pilot and the people that died on that plane. And he worked at the Pentagon during that time. So he knows this was a tragic moment. It was not a missile. It was an airplane. If anybody says anything different, you send them right here. Send them right here. Episode 28. And that'll be all. I'm your man, Cashmere, California. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube or Facebook. Listen and follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And I'm hoping that this is one of them. Pod is good. And all the time. We'll see y'all on the next episode.